Reg, thank you so much for giving us your time this afternoon. Obviously, a tricky few days for the players and everyone involved with Cheltenham Town, given what happened on Monday evening. Obviously, you yourself, unfortunately, are not going to be part of the team moving forward into next season. We heard that on Tuesday publicly. What was that like for you in terms of hearing that conversation, and how are you finding it in response to that?
Yeah, it's been a tough day for us all, tough few days, and it might take a few weeks. I think everyone takes these situations in different ways. I've always dealt with disappointment quite well. I think I had a few days off, and then I've got back on my bike, to be honest, to try and look forward to a new challenge. I am just disappointed and gutted that I believe in such a strong group, a great club. It sort of hit home when I went in after the warm-up of the Northampton game, and I seen the lads warming up with their routine that I'm so used to seeing and being a part of, and realising that obviously I won't see that anymore. But I'm so proud of what we've achieved, and I felt like I've been integral to that, and I'll take that with me, and I see nothing but future. Good luck, success in the future for the team and for the lads and the management, because they've set the stall out now, and there's no going back, and they've got to keep these standards and keep progressing. So,
yeah, Reg, is the aim for you now to get back playing regularly at the highest level you can? Is that your target for next season?
Yeah, I think I didn't know how I'd be once COVID stopped the football. People were saying, "Have you played your last game?" And while I was off, it was quite nice having the time at home with my family, not having to do the travelling. But as soon as I got back with the lads, first few days, I realised that this is what I love doing, and the reason I've still got the enthusiasm for it, and being about, and just the competition, and I loved every minute of it. So it made me realise that I don't think I'm quite ready to finish. It's going to be tough to get back in somewhere, but I'll do everything I can to get back in the league somehow. And again, it will be the same situation as before I joined Cheltenham, but I've been there. I know I'm strong enough to deal with it, and we'll see what happens.
Did the whole sort of Cheltenham Town experience end up being almost, dare I say, better than what you thought it would be? Obviously you've been playing at a top end level for most of your career. You come down to League Two, and suddenly, what an impact you had at the football club.
Yeah, I've not really told anyone but the players this, but I think that reserve game against Hartbury, I turned up, had a little look round, I sat in the toilet and thought to myself, is this really what I want to do? I nearly, honestly, got in my car and drove back. So as I was walking out, I seen the gaffer, so I had to have a discussion with him then. So from then, we sort of had a great chat. I went out, played the game, enjoyed the game, and didn't look back really. So yeah, I feel like I've said, I've really enjoyed the responsibility given to me by the management and by the club, and I'm just glad that I was able to hopefully pay us back as much as I could.
You scored in that game as well, didn't you?
Yes, I think I did actually. I hit the post about 3 times, but I eventually nicked one. So I think the gaffer said he only wanted to see if I could run, so he was going to sign me after 5 minutes. I said, why did you bleed and leave me on for the other 85 then?
Yeah, Reg, I'm quite interested to chat about your influence in the changing room, because the manager's completely changed the culture since he came in. You were obviously his first signing. Did he give you specific instructions, or is it something that happened very naturally that you lifted everyone's standards in there? Did you feel a responsibility for that, being, the senior player in the squad?
Yeah, I think sometimes this is what experience brings. It wasn't anything I did in particular, but just being in and around the lads, obviously asking me certain things, clubs I've been at, managers I've worked under. It's sort you can rub off on other players. I've not really had that at most of my other clubs. The bigger clubs I've been around, bigger players, you can't tend to tell them what to do. They don't really tend to listen. But I've really enjoyed, and I've learnt from captains I've played with. Probably the best one I can speak about is Luke Chambers at Ipswich. I realised that he does his utmost for everyone in the changing room for the best of the club. And although I wasn't captain, I felt like a captain in that changing room. And like I say, I loved that responsibility. And once I got put in the leadership group, heart in that, and I loved every minute of it. And I spoke to the young lads in depth through the season. I don't think I'm going to be going into coaching. I'm not that interested in going into that side of the game. But I loved actually doing one-on-one, trying to give a little bit of what I've learned through the game, and Even lads like Aaron Bashford that left the club, I spent a lot of time going through his clips. I speak to Alex regular, and anywhere I could help in that way, I was really interested in doing that. So yeah, hopefully, like I say, I've left my mark on some of the lads there, and they'll go on to do great things.
Did you feel like a bit of responsibility on your shoulders? Because obviously you came to Cheltenham having spent, again, like I said, most of your time at a higher level, and suddenly the club wasn't in a particularly healthy position when you came in on the pitch. And was there responsibility on your shoulders to make sure that you made sure nothing bad happened to the club?
Not really. I think this is people. I spoke to a lot of players that finished at say 35, and probably I don't know if they fear dropping down the leagues and what people might think of them. But like I said, then my enthusiasm is to play football, no matter what level it was. I was speaking to teams in non-league before I joined Cheltenham, and I would have had no qualms about going to either of them as well. So just to go into the club and obviously do my best. I knew if I could get myself to a sort of level that I'd make an impact on the pitch. I was desperate to do that foremost. You gain your respect by the stuff you do on the pitch. The gaffers said that at first I did my work on the pitch, and then eventually I started to sort of get into the dressing room and get amongst the lads. So it obviously helped scoring a couple of goals in that first home game, or the second home game, my first start. It's a great start for me. And even me, I gained in confidence from doing that, because I was out of football for a long time, and even going into Cheltenham, we have to be honest, they gave me a chance, and that's why when the gaffer says we've been good for each other, is it the nail on the head, really.
Yeah, Reg, I think all of this team, for what you've achieved this season, will be fondly remembered. You know, whatever they go on to do, it'll be an enjoyable season. But there's something between you and the fans. I think that first goal against Morecambe at the away end, then the second one, you jumped into the crowd, didn't you? And that was sort of the start of I'd say like a special relationship with the fans. How pleased are you with the impact you made on them over your just under 2 years at the club?
Yeah, I think that reflects me as a person. People might think that dropping down to League Two is probably not the right thing to do, but scoring a goal at any level for me is exactly the same. And I'd been out of the game for, like we've just said, a long time, and I couldn't hold on to my emotions. And no matter who I was in that crowd. Once I got that second goal, I understood the situation the club was in. And we were probably in a similar situation at the time. Although I've had a decent career up until this point, I was in a place where I wasn't playing football. So we both needed a bit of positive news. And obviously for me to get those couple of goals and for us to get a point was massive that night. So I'll be honest with you, I drove home that night as pleased as I was when I scored on my Premier League debut. So it meant just as much to me as any goal I've ever scored. So
your goals were obviously significant last season and showing that the club pretty much maintained its Football League status, but also kicked on. At what point did you sort of know that this team was developing into a good team? Obviously, there was a lot of potential there, a lot of good players in the squad, but when did you know that actually it was clicking?
Little do I know, because I said to the gaffer when I signed my contract that I'm signing it on the strength of us keeping everyone together, last year's squad. So the club recruited fantastically, and I must admit, doing that team photo, I remember it really well, and looking about what we actually brought into the club, I thought, you know what, lads, we've got even more of a chance here. We had a lot of young, hungry players. Speak about the young loanees we had have been fantastic for us as well. They really bred young life into the squad, and with that mix of experience, I felt from day one, really. I think after the Stratford game, probably away from home in the friendly, we thought, oh my God, what's going to go on here? But I've been in situations like that where you've been hammered most pre-season games. But once the league campaign started, I was very, very sure that we'd go on to achieve good things, because from Christmas last year, we showed that form, and there was no way we were going to let that drop. And I just hope that the club continues to do that, because stats show that you can have a hangover after obviously ending a season like that in the playoffs. But I must admit, with Toes as captain and the gaffer in charge, I just can't see it. I'm just bitterly disappointed that we didn't manage to put it together on Monday night, because that just wasn't us, and it's so frustrating that I wasn't able to have my part in that.
Yeah, Reg, if you look at I think you got 21 goals for Cheltenham, and you pretty good strike rate. When you were playing, you were scoring, I think, 1 in 2 roughly. But you played up front with a lot of different players, didn't you? If you look back at Billy Waters, Rakesh Bingham, Tyrone Barnett, Kelsey Mooney, Sam Jones, George Lloyd, Gavin Riley, Alex Adai, Jonty Smith, Alfie May. I don't think you ever actually, Tav Campbell, I don't think you ever actually played up front with Ruben, did you? Because you seem
we spoke about this. He texted me the other day, because how did I not play with you? And we actually said it was, he obviously sees us as the same sort of player, so that was disappointing. But yeah, go on, carry on, John.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, you struck up a good relationship with a lot of those players, even though some of them were quite brief. But was there anyone particular you feel like you hit it off with? Because Gavin Riley, definitely, you brought the best out in him. I think everyone saw that. But was there anyone particular, those many strikers, that you sort of enjoyed playing off or with?
Yeah, just quickly, I think about all the ones I've had. The gaffer would say to me all the time, I told him I was on penalties this year, and he said, you'll have to get in the team first. And I said, well, I've seen every forward you brought in so far. So we had a bit of a chuckle about that. But no, I probably brought the best out of Gav. But I think for me personally, Tyrone brought the best out of me, because people might find that surprising. But he was the sort of battering ram. Once Tyrone left, I had to do quite a lot of the donkey work, getting bashed by the centre half. So, yeah, I enjoyed it being with a big man. So I don't know whether I might have enjoyed playing with Ruben. We'll never know. But I enjoyed playing. But to be honest, all of them, I must admit, it's easy for me to say that's quite cliched. I'm not going to do any of them with disjustice, but they all had different strengths. I enjoy playing with Billy as well, and Alfie's obviously come in and done fantastic. So I could go through the list, and even Lloydie, I'm hoping sometimes when a player like me leaves a club, it opens the door for people to sort of come out the shell a little bit. I think when I got injured earlier in the season, Alex came to the forefront of everyone's mind. He was the top scorer. I came to the Port Vale game, and I said to him before the game, you're the main man, we need you to score goals. And he got to the top of the scoring list. So listen, it might be an advantage to all those lads. I've spoke to them all and said, listen, I won't be in your shadows no more. I'll be there to support and speak to them if they want, but they've got the freedom now to do their stuff on the pitch. So it opens up a door for someone for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned there, Reg, about how like when Tyrone left the club, you had to become that sort of battering ram perhaps in the team. How did you see your role for Cheltenham Town? Did you see yourself as the main goal scorer? Did you see yourself as that sort of target man? Because obviously you're very good in the air, or were you a bit of both?
Well, as our play got better, I stopped being a little bit more of that target man. If you think back to when we had Tyrone, we did a lot of those little diagonal balls into Tyrone and worked off that. Now our diagonal balls are going to wing backs, so it developed, and it probably did help me in the long run. Obviously, the knee injury didn't help this season. I feel like I'd have gone on to score a lot more goals again. I think I was on 7 come the Exeter game, so I'd have gone on to I was hoping to get the same as what I got last season. Maybe I should have held back on the knee injury. It wasn't something that needed doing, but the physios had said I might benefit having an early repair. So I feel like I'd have gone on to score a lot more. But I think, like you said, that as the team developed, it got a bit easier for me, not having to do that physical side of it as much. But then again, you look at the game Monday night, it was just an actual fight. And I feel like if I could have been involved with that, I don't think people have said that we got bullied. I just think we didn't use enough of our nous. And I feel like if I could have been on the pitch Monday, I could have helped with that. And that's what's probably leaving a bitter taste in my mouth, I must admit.
Reg, when you look at the 21 goals, there'll be certain ones that stand out for the fans. Like I think you scored twice in the Notts County win, which was Michael Duff's first league win as manager, vital. The Macclesfield comeback, the winner against Port Vale, then right up to when you scored the winner against Northampton at home this season. When you look back at your 21 goals, I know they'll all mean a lot to you as a goal scorer, but what would you say was your favourite for Cheltenham?
Yeah, I think I've been through this with Joyce. I don't even know if I remember the order now, but the overhead kick was very important. I think that was probably my favourite. I know I'm allowed to say this now. I'm not a Cheltenham player, but we were having a night out that night as well. So it set us on a good tone. I think the gaffer let us have a couple of shandies. So we went on to win that game, and that was another massive game. Obviously, they were down there, we were down there. But close behind it would definitely be that second goal. Obviously, my first goal we just spoke about, because the emotions and me driving back and having that feeling of being back in football again. So they were all fantastic. People say that I didn't celebrate enough my goals, but they all meant a great deal to me.
You mentioned there, Reg, about obviously watching the game on Monday and feeling like you could have contributed if you'd been fit to play. Obviously, it was incredibly difficult for everyone sat in the stands watching us unfortunately go out, and of course for the supporters at home, amazingly difficult, especially considering they couldn't be there. What is it like for you and also your teammates who were sat up in the back of the stand? That must be so hard to watch, bearing in mind your fellow troops are going to sort of into battle, and you can't be there to help them, unfortunately, in that situation.
Yeah, it was very tough. Obviously, we had the rundown off Paul Godfrey about our behaviour, the swearing on the cameras, obviously, because there's no crowd that can hear everything you said. I'm surprised I didn't get booked in both legs, to be honest, because I couldn't stop. I must admit, the home game, it sort of felt like Northampton take over. That momentum, they had that whole end. It was so hard for us to change the momentum. I actually said to the lads at half time, somebody's got to do something to change the momentum of the game. It sounds bad, but like a foul or something, it's not cheating. It's sometimes using your nous, and we just helped with that momentum. We didn't do anything to slow them down, and they were going down the hill, which we know quite well. In second half of games, it pulls you in that end, and that's how it felt. So yeah, it was so hard to watch. I felt like running down a good few times and having a pop, but it wasn't my place. It's hard to speak when you're not playing the game, but. I was there in spirit, but it was very hard to take, I must admit.
Reg, I know everyone will know that you're quite influential and have been one of the main characters in the dressing room. And I know you've got a strong bond with a lot of the lads in there. So we're going to ask you a few little questions now about what you think about your teammates, if that's all right. Start off with a nice easy one. Who do you think makes you laugh the most? Who's the funniest player at Cheltenham Town, in your opinion?
Probably Longy. Probably his accent though, nothing else. No, he's obviously a young lad. Lived with him for obviously the 18 months I was there, so he's just non-stop, to be honest. And I just get him. He's a cracking lad, and like you've just said, I've got friends for life. I've already told Longy I'll be able to Dublin to see him in the next few weeks if we can get a flight. I might have to get on the ferry like he does, but no, he's definitely the funniest. But we had a good group with Toes, Raggy and Boyley, Scotty. And Tour of Ireland, we ended up calling it. We had a coffee group on a Friday straight after training. And we had a great group that I was involved in.
I'll let Joyce ask one in a minute, but who do you think is the most likely of that bunch to go on and be a successful manager at this early stage?
Oh, they're all really into it. I must admit, I was well pleased to find out they're all bashing the coaching off during the lockdown. So, Toes is obviously very full in what he wants off players. And Longy's got his style as well. But Boyley's probably made a lot of progress. Yeah, he's right into it with his coaching. He's done a lot behind the scenes with Pete. And I'd probably say Boyley will go on to do well. I think Boyley might just shade it with that.
Who, for you, was the best trainer out of your teammates?
Huss, probably Chris Hussey, 100 mile an hour every day. We'd play on a Saturday, everyone's knackered on a Monday, and he wants to do 1v1s with Alex on that foot. I have to walk in, I can't move. So he brought his game every day to training, and that helped him on the pitch. I think he's the best left back in League Two, and that definitely stood him in good stead because he left nothing on the training ground. So it's a fantastic trait to have. I've not seen many that do that, and he's definitely one of them.
Most people might be able to guess the answer to this one, Reg, but who's the quickest in the squad? And if it is the obvious answer, who do you think would push him for second place?
I think you might think you probably think I was going to say Alex, but I think Debs is quicker than him apparently. So yeah, Alex, Debs. Trying to think who else. We haven't really got that many rapid players, have we? Probably them two. But I think apparently Debs has got the highest score than Alex, but Debs never got out of second gear, so we never know.
Who's the best on a night out? Who do you enjoy going out with in the squad?
That group really. I couldn't probably single any of them out. We ended up having obviously the wives involved as well, so it was quite nice. Again, at previous clubs, bigger players, they don't really want to get involved like that. They just play the games and go home. But we had a great group, and the boys know who they are. I had a fantastic relationship with them. And even when we went to races, just throughout the squad, we had a great bond, and a lot of lads that had met the time to spend time with each other off the pitch, and that's massive, and that's why I feel like we achieved good things this season.
What would you say has been the best team performance you've been involved in at Cheltenham?
I think you spoke about it then. I think we look back at that Notts County game as definitely a pivotal moment of everything we've achieved in the last 18 months. It was weird because we weren't in a good vein of form at all, and just at half time we always talk about it, but we just felt like we weren't going to get beat. Sometimes we always talk about goals changing games, but there was just a real feeling of determination not to get beat, because I think if we'd have lost that game, we'd have been quite far adrift at the bottom. So it turned out to be a massive game for us. Obviously getting that couple of goals after the knee injection on the Tuesday was big for me as well. So again, that gave me great confidence in us all. So I'd definitely say that was my favourite one.
Nice little corner routine, wasn't it, Alan?
Yeah, that's good as well. Obviously, when something like that pays off, you spend a lot of time, and to actually execute it on a Saturday is massive, and the gaffer took big credit for that as well.
The last one from me on teammates. Who's the best and worst dressed, would you say, in the Cheltenham squad?
Worst dressed is Toes. He's got one pair of jeans, one tracksuit, and 2 pairs of trainers. So he was absolutely buzzing that we didn't get our kit washed, because obviously he can come in his training kit every day. We got away with murder. He's actually, I've given him a few tips now. He's had all his jeans taken up since he's met me, so it might help him going forward in his fashion sense as well. So best dressed. Again, it's tough because we all came in training gear. At the races, there were some good suits, to be fair. Raggy knows how to dress, and I'd probably say Charlie, but he gets off his dad. Have you seen his dad at the games? In his 3-piece suit and his overcoat. So I'd give Rags that.
Who would you say, Reg, is the best cricketer in the group?
Wow, that's a contentious question. With Joyce, you know full well we've got a full-on cricket school at the minute. I must admit, Alfie's come in and made a big difference. I think he opens for his local team, he bowls. Jonty's got a lot of ability, spins it both ways, and we could never get him out. He just got so comfortable. So some great play. Raggy's got the best score. I think he was in for 63 balls once. So we were late for the warm-up that day as well. So, but now we absolutely love it, and I probably miss that more on the football, to be honest.
Reg, just on a slightly different subject. Steve Cottrell was at the game on Monday as one of the director's guests. I think a lot of people won't know that you actually played for him at Pompey, didn't you?
Yeah.
Cheltenham legend, obviously very much backed Michael Duff for the job when he was appointed at Cheltenham. What are your memories of playing under Steve at Pompey?
Great initially. I think obviously for him to sign me, I went down there and loved my time there. It ended quite sour, obviously, with administration. He had to move on to Forest, obviously, to help the club out. And that was disappointing for me, because I really got on well with him. We had a couple of disagreements, but we're both quite similar. We're very competitive. I think we went to Cadiz one pre-season, and we had internationals when I was at Portsmouth. So he took about 15 of us, and we thought we were going for a bit of a jolly up 4 or 5 days out. He'll tell you about it himself. We turned up, he said, on the second day, we're going to play Real Betis, just as a warm-up game. And we're thinking, what? We've got 15 players, all our best players are away on international duty, and we're playing Real Betis. So he made us walk round to the ground. I played right wing-back, I don't know why, against, I think it was Joachim or something. It was ran about a million mile an hour, did about 4 lollipops past me and scored. And all I could hear was the gaffer behind me calling me thick, saying, "What are you doing? Get back in here, get back in there." And I didn't speak to him for the rest of the camp. I think the Saturday after we played West Ham, and he said to me on the Thursday, "Have you still got the ump?" He says, "You'll never win," because you know what he's like. He's quite hard-faced and he'll never give up. So I just moaned and groaned a little bit. And then I scored on the Saturday at West Ham and gave him a bit of stick back, and we argued each other. And that's the sort of relationship we had. He got the best out of me, and I just wish it had probably lasted a bit longer, because he dealt with a very difficult situation at Pompey, and we were, after one, was very sad to see him leave to go to Forest.
Yeah, he speaks very highly of you now, despite you have little ups and downs. But do you think he had anything to do with your move to Cheltenham? Obviously, knowing Michael so well, do you think he had anything to do with that? Or?
But when I spoke to the gaffer, he said he referenced me to about 20 people. So I would have thought, I hope so. And hopefully, I think that's why it's been important to me. I think all through my career, even at Burton, I wasn't playing under Nigel. I've always trained properly because I understand it helps the team out. And the last thing you need is a bad egg in your squad when you're trying to achieve something. And I've always took that upon myself to train properly and be ready for another situation, because I always knew that when I'd leave Burton, hopefully I'll go to another club. So there's no point in me clocking off and not quite doing it right. And this is what I say to all the young lads, even last year, people like Tab that might think they're out of the picture. Even Alex got left out of the first squad in the playoff games. I had a phone call with him and just said to him, you never know what might happen. And there you go, he came on in the second leg. So you've always got to be ready. And like I say, hopefully if lads I can speak. I spoke to him quite openly about that sort of situation. It's important to keep going. So
I think, Reg, obviously you've played with a lot of players at a number of different clubs, but it's always those sort of difficult, isn't it, when it ends, like the relationships end or traditions end. And you mentioned there the Friday Coffee Club, obviously the cricket every morning. Obviously, I know you also got a lifting with toes, didn't you, every day, because you live in a sort of similar area of the country. You're going to obviously miss things like that because you go from doing it every day, spending hours and hours and hours together, to suddenly, of course, that's the reality of football, I suppose. It's just a full stop straight away.
Oh, exactly. I think, like I said, I got that bit of routine in lockdown, being at home with my family, and I loved that. But then once I got back a couple of days, I moan about toes all the time, about how slow he drives, and he made me sit in the back for the last 3 weeks because of COVID, so I won't miss that. But yeah, of course, that routine is something very important for footballers. But the second the playoffs finished, I had a paintbrush in my hand, so I've got a new routine now, doing my garden in my house. So I'll keep myself busy, and hopefully an opportunity will arise in the game again.
Mini Varney.
Yeah.
Reg, Northampton. That barbecue you're having there.
It's a croissant thing. Don't know why she's eating that now. It's mine tomorrow. Get out now. Sorry.
Reg, I was just going to ask, at the Northampton away game, it must have been difficult because you injured your hamstring at Colchester, didn't you? And you worked so hard to get yourself fit. Probably thought, well, you might have feared your season was over before lockdown. Then you got, everyone saw you working hard in your home gym, getting yourself fit. And then, how difficult was it? Because I was sat quite close to you in the stand at Northampton. You were encouraging, you were shouting, but was that difficult for you? Probably knowing deep down that might be it for you at Cheltenham, but still reacting in the right way. How much of a test was that for you?
Yeah, probably. Definitely one of the hardest, lowest points of my career. Obviously, feeling like I'm going to be involved for the 2 playoff games. I literally went into the dressing room and obviously was quite upset. But the gaffer obviously got straight round me and said to me, I need to be there for the lads. And as soon as the game started, I knew what I had to do. And I got round the lads before the game as well. And yeah, it was definitely difficult. I look back now and think that I did a lot of fitness work, getting myself right through lockdown, but maybe didn't do enough of the strength work. Obviously, that helps if you've got a physio with you. I'd have probably done that if we were in at the club, and it's hard to replicate that sort of strength stuff you do after an injury. But obviously, with the amount of time I had, I thought I'd sorted that out, and I did a lot of runs and didn't really feel anything. So yeah, I try not to dwell on that too much. But yeah, I'll have regrets about that for a while. But like I said, I'm just looking forward now. I'll have a couple of days off, and I'll get back on the bike and I'll start doing a lot more strength now, getting ready for my opportunity.
I know, speaking to the gaffer, Reg, that obviously it was a very hard conversation with yourself. I think he'd said potentially for his whole managerial career, you may end up being his best signing, and you were his first signing. Was that a pretty hard conversation? Probably harder for you, or maybe, I don't know, hard for him. But was that quite a hard conversation? When you find out that actually, your time at the club's coming to an end when you've enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, I think the initial chat. I understood. I've been in the game long enough that I could sort of not see where it was going, but with the club having to cut the budget, and obviously probably me not playing as many games as I like last season. And obviously, things are changing with me. with my family and stuff, and I wanted to be closer to home. So there was a lot of different scenarios I looked through, and I think we've come to the agreement. It probably will suit both parties in the long run. It feels a bit sore at the moment, and it will take a long time. Probably until I get back playing, then obviously I can focus on that. But I'll definitely be back 100%. I said to the gaffer, I'll be coming down to watch games. I'm hoping to get a free ticket for the races as well. So obviously I'll keep in touch with everyone there. And thoroughly enjoyed my time. And like you said, the conversation was good. I think we've got a lot of respect for each other. I hope the club can keep hold of the gaffer, because I feel like he'll go on and do great things in the game as well. And I don't think a lot of people speak about that, because obviously everyone's worried about what the players are doing. The gaffer's obviously gone through a lot as well. It's a lot of pressure. I could tell as well how he felt in those 2 or 3 weeks trying to get everyone ready, not knowing the ideal situation with the training methods, and no one knew what anyone was doing. So it was to get it so right in Northampton, and then obviously for it to end like that Monday, it will hurt him as well. But he'll come back stronger for it as well, knowing him as a person. And like I said, the chat was, you might think it was hard. It was quite easy, because the respect we've got for each other is we can be quite honest with each other, and I think we've been at that from the outset. So.
Yeah, Reg, you touched on it earlier. You don't really see yourself going to coaching, but I think you said a couple of times in interviews that you've got a big interest in the fitness side of football. Is that maybe where you see your future after? I know you want to carry on playing, but once you do eventually stop, maybe in 20 years' time, is that where you see your future fitness work?
Yeah, I just think that a lot of people I speak to that are still in the game say it would be a shame for me to leave, because as a character, I seem to fit in at football clubs. I like to be in and around the lads. So we'll see where that goes. I think this is why I'm trying to get probably closer to home, because for me to be a coach at a club like Cheltenham, I'd have to move down there. I'd want to put my heart and soul into it. So if it's something that could be something where I could live at home and not miss much of my family life, that's important to me. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not sort of saying I'm going to go into fitness or go into this. I'm not ready to finish playing football yet. So I'm hoping to be in this situation next year. Once the season's finished, I might have an idea of which direction I want to go. But at the moment, I'm concentrating on getting back and getting fit and getting ready to play for another team.
Yeah, so much is unknown right now, Reg. Obviously, when the new season's going to start, and just the unknowns of the in between. In terms of future clubs and stuff, obviously you want to play closer to home. Any sort of potential people you're thinking of so far, or potential options? I'm not going to get you to reveal any, but obviously, is there sort of conversations you're hoping to have pretty soon?
Yeah, well, I've actually signed a 3-year deal at Leicester last week. So,
you gone back there?
Yeah. No, not yet. Obviously, I think clubs are going to be in a funny situation for a good few months now. It's financially, they need to know where they're at with budgets, who they're going to sign. So, and to be honest, I need that little couple of weeks for me to just get my head right and get and focus and make sure I'm definitely making the right decision. So, yeah, I've not had any real concrete chats with anyone. A few messages, teams sort of towards the end of the season asking how I'm getting on and if I'm going to carry on next season. So hopefully that something turns up there. But we'll see. Hopefully, I've got no shame, like we've said, even if I drop down out of the league, it won't be an issue. I just want to keep playing as long as possible and as long as the body lets me. So watch this space. Hopefully I get somewhere sorted.
Just got a couple more, Reg, from me. And one is one of the manager's favourite phrases since you've signed for the club was, "He's not here for the money." And you've obviously had a good career at the top 2 levels, but I think the manager sometimes feels some young players at the top level who haven't done anything yet and maybe getting distracted and getting ahead of themselves. So you've spoken about giving young lads like Aaron Basford and Lloydie advice at Cheltenham, but what would you say to a maybe a higher level player that's just starting out, maybe on a good wage, but got it all ahead of them? Is there any advice you would give? Because you obviously weren't motivated by purely financial means at Cheltenham after the career you've had.
Yeah, I think it is hard because obviously the benefits of the big contract. I've been through a lot of situations. Obviously, did my Achilles the last time we played in the playoffs at Ipswich, and I was out of contract at Blackburn. So I had a taste of it at 30, 31, I think 32 I might have been, and it just makes you realise how the life of being a footballer. It's not all hunky dory. It's such a short career. There's so many permutations. Look now, this COVID is going to make so difficult for players to get contracts. So I just say the money. I think the gaffer's quite lucky as well. He had great grounding at Burnley under Darcy. It's really, you can sort of see his morals are all in the right place. There's a set of standards we live by, and obviously the Marines lads came in and they're exactly the same. So if you can have a list of things that you look to do most days, I think that's very important. And if you do those things, the gaffer's quite openly said, I know we talk about the money will come if you abide by those rules. If you go hard every day, you'll reap the benefits. So there's no reason why you wouldn't do that. And I think I did that. I think I look back on my career and think I put literally, it wasn't through ability. I didn't say I've got bags of ability, but I worked hard and sort of dragged as much as I could out of the game. So.
And Reg, when the news came out that you were leaving the club, obviously it's always difficult when you get the retain list and a few players are going from a very popular squad. But I think a lot of people were upset and disappointed that you were moving on because you have been such a popular character. So what message would you have for the Cheltenham fans that have enjoyed watching you play so much?
First of all, thank you. I'm not on. Well, I'm on Twitter, but I never use it, and Facebook. But I've had lots of messages sent by my brother and family and friends, and I was actually overwhelmed by the amount of messages I got. Because obviously I haven't played that much in the last few months, but it's nice to know that you've sort of not been forgotten, and I'll always look back on it fondly. It's a great little club and a lovely place to live. I've said, unfortunately, I didn't come earlier in my career because I've definitely settled down there for sure. But for the fans, it was fantastic. I loved the journey, and they really helped me as well for sure. Definitely the home games. I loved the Saturday. Obviously, I used to stay down Friday nights, and being part of a lovely little club like this is. I just hope the success in the future because we all deserve it there. Because we've been on this upward spiral now for so long. I just hope it continues because. And I'll definitely be rooting for everyone.
Well, Reg, you've had an amazing impact, trust me, in your 2 seasons at Cheltenham. Like you said, Michael Duff singing your praises just the other day, and the fans have been doing so throughout your time here, and of course will do for the future as well. So I just want to say a big thank you very much for joining myself and John for this chat, and we really appreciate it, obviously, a few days on, and I suppose on behalf of the whole of Cheltenham Town, wish you all the best for the future as well.
Thank you very much for all your help as well, and like you say, accepting me as a player 18 months ago, whatever it was. I'll be back, like I've said, Joyce, 100%, and hope I might get in a press box as well, and do a few games because I quite enjoy doing that side of it as well. So we'll see.
I'm sure the radio guys will happily have you back doing comms again.
Cool. Okay, mate.
Thanks a lot, Reg.
Thanks very much, Reg.
Thanks a lot.
Don't touch that, mate.